We've been getting a lot of requests asking us whether or not our Oculus 7-inch bi-LED headlight can work in a classic vehicle like this. While these were designed for a more modern vehicle like the Jeep Wrangler JK, with some modifications, they will work in a classic vehicle, and you can get the high performance and great looks of the Oculus lights on a classic car. So we're gonna show you how to do those steps today. So of course the first step is we're going to take out the old headlights. And in this case, we're going to take off this bezel trim ring, which is a couple Phillips screws. We're going to remove these indicator lights, and then that's going to give us access to the actual headlight bucket. Yeah, so obviously what we're doing right here is kind of specific to the Defender. Your vehicle will probably have something a little bit different. We're going to take out these 3 screws here, then we can remove the trim ring. Once the beauty ring's out, we'll be able to actually remove the headlight, unplug it, and set it to the side. This is a super high performance bi-LED headlight. So this is going to give you very good light output. It's going to be similar to what you would find like a late model Mercedes vehicle where you have that really sharp projector cutoff line. With that being said, in order to get that high performance lighting, the housing itself needs to be deeper than what a traditional glass steel beam light is going to be. So in order to get this clearance, what we would normally do is trim away some metal here inside of this bucket in order to let this slide back. In this case, the Land Rover has an inner bucket and an outer bucket. It's kind of complicated design, so as an alternative, what we're going to do is we're actually going to remove this whole bucket and replace it with a Jeep Wrangler JK bucket. And so what we'll do is we'll put a link in the video description if you want to go that route instead of trimming to actually install a more updated bracket. The second thing we need to do is that this has a H4 connector, which is really common for these older vehicles all the way from the 60s, 70s, 80s into the 90s. And then the more modern light has an H14 connector. So in this case, in order to get this connector out, we have to cut it anyway. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna hardwire H13 female connector onto here. But if you didn't wanna do that, if you wanted to just have an adapter, you can get an H13 to H4 adapter to connect here. And again, we'll put that in the video description as well. But basically, these plugs aren't going to plug in together. We're gonna have to do a little bit of modification in order to make that work. The second thing is that this has a halo ring around it. So that's gonna be either a parking light or a daytime running light. So from the factory, in this case, there is a marker light positive cable here, so we could just connect this to the light, but we really want this to work as a daytime running light. So what we're gonna use is use the included wiring adapter that comes with the Oculus headlights and connect it to the fuse panel in an ignition fuse position. So as soon as we start the vehicle, the daytime running light comes on. When we turn the vehicle off, the daytime running light turns off. So those are basically the modifications we need to do. We're gonna need to modify the bucket and modify the wiring in order to make all this stuff compatible. So as we mentioned, headlight bucket trimming is a pretty common modification here. So this is a pretty thin type of sheet metal. Normally what we'd use is a air saw with a metal bit on it. We'd go around and basically elongate or open up this circle to be able to fit in this circle here, which is a little bit larger diameter. The problem is that there's also an inner bucket here, which we would also have to trim, which just makes the whole thing really complicated. So we're gonna go ahead next step and just pull this bucket out. But in your case, it may actually be easier just to trim it. Depending on what vehicle you have, those would be the 2 installation methods that we would recommend. All right, so basically this is the bucket that we just removed. So we'll go ahead and get the light mounted in here with this trim ring, and we'll install the whole assembly into the vehicle. So now we're just gonna go ahead and hardwire on our H13 connector. Again, you could use a adapter to go from H4 to H13, but we're basically installing these lights. We're not planning on converting it back anytime soon, so we're just gonna go ahead and change this whole connector to H13 in this case. So now we're going to go ahead and connect the wiring for our daytime running light. when you open your Oculus box, you'll see you have this Y adapter here. So left-hand side, right-hand side, and that comes with an optional fuse tap. So this could go to the fuse box and use an ignition fuse, or you could just simply connect the red wire on this Y adapter to something like a marker light or to cigarette lighter or another switch source, or just to a switch if you want to control the halos individually with a switch. So we're going to go ahead and connect this, run the wire across the engine bay. Of course, this is going to be a little bit different for every type of vehicle, so we're not going to go into too much detail there, but we'll have the daytime running light wiring in place. We already have our H14 connector on here. So now at this point, we can go ahead and plug everything in, mount the light, and go ahead and test everything, make sure everything works like it's supposed to. Just going to go ahead and attach our ground cable to the ground post on the fender here, or what we're using as a ground post on the fender here. All right, now we're just going to do a quick test the lights out, make sure everything's coming on like it's supposed to. Let's see if it comes on when the ignition turns on, because that would be sweet. Now that we've tested it, we've got the lights level, everything's working right, we're going to go ahead and reinstall our bezel here. All right, so that's pretty much the installation. So we had to make some modifications, and it's totally not a plug-and-play system, but if you're looking for a clean and professional 7-inch LED headlight with high-performance LED optics and truly the best quality LED light output you can get for your classic car or truck, the Oracle Oculus by LED is the light for you. So be sure to check us out at www.oraclelights.com or call us at 1-800-407-5776. Thanks for watching.